Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, brothers and sisters, I'm back again for some time. Maybe I don't know how long I will be back doing videos on the Brother Talib show, but I'm here to speak about an issue that stuck with me for a little while when I saw it on videos, clips that some other content creators, Muslim, brothers, that did about a famous actor by the name of Terrance Howard. Many of you know of him. He played the major role in Empire, which he did a lot of more. I guess you can say he got more famous with that role that he played as can't even remember his name on that show. But anyway, Empire. So Howard, this guy, Terrance Howard, made a statement in this clip of it. Shout outs to one of the brothers that did a reaction video to Terrence's statement and his, I'm not going to say and be too harsh about how he was when he was from the years of 13 that he left Islam, as he said in this statement. But that was the main thing that he spoke of, that he left Islam due to what one Muslim brother misinterpreted, took on his own accord, and committed a heinous, act, which was removal of a man's private part, right? Just to be without being explicit on, whatever platform that you listen to this video, whether it's YouTube, whether it's, any other one that I put this video up on the platform. So basically, this man's genital was removed by this brother per se. And it was when he was 13, he witnessed and bore witness to this, according to him. He wasn't even present there. And again, I didn't shout out to brothers, Muslim, I think it's Muslim Latin or Islamic Lantern. Brother has a YouTube channel who spoke about this, and then I seen it also from another person. But basically, he allowed this clip to go as far as he did, and he was on this guy's show called PBD or something like that. He's well known, and he's a controversial, and as far as with different segments and discussions that he has on his show, and a lot of it, when it comes to Islam, is negative. Is propagandized, negative propaganda, and a lot of Muslims that know of him see him as an agent for the media that is anti or Islamophobic in its essence. So basically, I'll get to the point. Terrance Howard said that he left Islam due to the feelings that he had, and a lot of emotions without clarity, and being at that adolescent stage of his life, did not go and seek out enough knowledge or to find out or to say to himself and say, this guy is a bad guy, or this guy messed up or did something wrong. What did he do? I don't know of this being from Islam. Instead of doing that, he did the opposite. He went with what the shaitan does to Muslims that leave Islam, unfortunately, because they're weak. They don't have an established basis of what Islam is really based on, which is Tawheed, the oneness of Allah, and why you came into Islam. You came into Islam for him, and you came into his to understand and follow what he says, and then he gave to who? His prophet Muhammad, and how his prophet Muhammad is the example of Islam, not just any individual out there, for you to take an example from them. especially if you didn't go back behind that, which they did, to make sure that that is what Islam is about. So he didn't do any of that investigation. He didn't do any. He was 13. That's understood. He wouldn't have done it. And I don't blame him and that Terrance Howard at the age he was, and I still don't blame him today. I do kind of feel like maybe, bro, you're a grown adult and you still haven't done any extensive, well, not extensive, but for that life experience for a huge, well-known belief that has a lot of controversy and a lot of bad that negatives that go to it, and you kind of act in the arena of social life as a performer, as a actor, as a famous person, that knows that people are watching and seeing what you're about and looking at you as an example. So you portray that you're a peaceful guy and God love and love for God, right? A God of love, which is what he spoke on. He said that he couldn't understand how this guy went about, and why the guy said that, or what he heard, and according to the brother who did the video that did a reply and basically debunking what he was saying, that he wasn't even in the conversation, because it was a conversation after the fact that the man got arrested due to the act that he did, which was a criminal act, because you don't have no right to do that. There's no lawful right by Islam, the Sharia, as they say, and there's no, of course, right in the country that you're doing, that you're in, America, okay, which is what I believe Terrance Howard was living in America at the age of 13. I don't know the whole details where he was at. Was he in a Muslim country or was he in America? But from what I know, what we can say, he's an American. And he was in America, and that man was in America, and it was a masjid at the time in America. And he took the law into his own hands as per se, as what he thought is the law, which is not the law. It's not even in the law to be able to castrate a man. Excuse me. But that's what they did, And so he made his maneuver, and he became filled with doubt on based on emotion, not based on intellect as well. Because you can allow, that's how human nature, we're going to have an emotional reaction to something that happens that bad, right? Because that's bad, that's crazy. But what do? Are you processing more than just in here and how you feel? Because the brain works with the heart. The brain doesn't work against the heart, it works with the heart. It's supposed to actually. When there's the disease in the heart, then the other things are going to be diseased. So the brain, it might not even work right either, and it won't be no unison. It will be this dysfunction, right? That's functional situation with yourself. Disease, dis-ease, right? So this is probably what happened. His mind and his heart wasn't working together because he didn't really use his mind. But he was a young child, you know what I mean? He was 13, not young child, but he was a preteen, because 13 is like a preteen. It's going into adolescence. It's adolescent stage, right? So most people just know that. So what differentiation of whether right from wrong is there at that age to know, and then let alone being in a belief, in a high, well-known belief that was at that time still largely known as a mainstream belief, especially because the amount of Muslims throughout the world that implemented it and practiced it. In his time when he was 13, I'm sure he was young in the age close, because he's around my age. Malik el-Shabazz, or aka Malcolm X, wasn't alive at this time. He was gone. In 1965, he was taken out of this life. He's unalived. So, excuse me. How can somebody not know? At his age, really didn't know much about what Islam is, obviously. So that's the point. And my thing is to him, as I say to any others, and I'm not going to go too much longer because it's already 10 minutes in this video, but people need to do their own research. And like in part of this video, that the guy that made a reaction, the brother that made a reaction, that, you know, pretty much he allowed some other ways of showing how people that proclaim to be Muslim, and they might not even really be Muslim, they might really be making this up because they want to continue to defame Islam. This is part of Islamic phobia, of the push to put it out there and make it more and promote it more so that people can stay away from it. Okay. And the people who are in the forefront of doing this are people like them, especially now with using social media as the tool to do that, and mainstream media to do that. They've been doing it for years. It's nothing new. As soon as, especially that social media and mainstream media work together, but mainly mainstream media has always been doing this, because even before we had social media and we had the technology that you can see on your smartphone, like you see me on a YouTube channel or Facebook or whatever, any types of social media platform that was able to push all different types of narratives of different things out there into the media, let alone Islam, or Islamophobic, meaning people who are fearing Islam, or people who are speaking down about Islam, people who are speaking like they're wary of Islam. They think that Islam is a bad thing and it's something from evil, right? Unlike what it truly is, which is the opposite of that. But this is because of ignorance, and then ignorance that of course, springs out hate, springs out fear, especially fear. Fear really can bring out the hate, and then biasness is because it can be from jealousy, or it can be from various things, jealousy, fear, and also lack of knowledge, ignorance of something else or someone else or somebody else's culture or somebody else's belief in religion, right? And that these people, what the problem is this people act upon it. And so that lady acted upon it in that video, like I'm speaking about, and brought some other stuff that about in this Islam that didn't even have proofs to it. And the brother clarified it and debunked it, everything she came with, talking about Muslims or Muhammad salalahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet of Islam, came against the commandments of God. It's like, it was crazy to hear it. But I may post this video, when I post this video on YouTube or wherever I post it, I might post a link for his video so that you can watch and see what they were talking about there. But I'm just making my own point of positioning, because it's been a while, and I have even spoke on YouTube or any other platform at this point, because of a lot of things that have been going on. And Ramadan has been in, and I'm still into Ramadan for right now, for the last days that are left. And may Allah accept my ibadah, and all of us brothers and sisters who are still implementing Ramadan, inshallah. Ameen. I shouldn't say inshallah, I would say Ameen, because it was a dua. Okay, so basically I'm going to finish up here, but just, people make up your own minds, read into things better, look up and do your own research, find out for yourself. If you're a person and you're not Muslim, this is for you. And even Terrance Howard, as an adult now. No, you're not 13 anymore. You've grown up to be, and if you see this video, you've grown up to be a man close around my age. And as I've known, and I looked up your age one time, I was just wondering, I think you're in your 50s and I'm in my 50s. So maybe close to 60 you go into. If you're not older than me, then you're in your 50s for sure, under my 50s, because I'm 56. But if you're above my age, then, so be it. But still, I think you're around the same age as me, close in my generation, put it that way. And me in my generation, I'm one, and you seem like a very intelligent person. And and I'm speaking to those who are, who know of him from what he speaks, when he speaks in interviews and so forth, he very much carries a well intellectual conversation, and he carries himself intellectually. He can speak, you know what I mean? He's articulate, and he speaks eloquently, you know what I mean? So pretty much, I would think that the intellect that you have here, you would use to do better research before you come out into interviews like this guy that you did, PD or whatever, I think it's PDD or something like that. I can't remember, but I'll post that up too as well, of this guy that he did the interview with, right? Because he's well known, this guy that did that interview with Terrance. So Terrance, you should do your own research too, and to really back yourself up as a full-fledged intellectual man that seems to be peaceful, that seems to have, you don't have any biasness towards any belief. You are peaceful within and respectful of everybody's belief, and you're a spiritual man. So if so, you should give the betterment and the respect to yourself to portray that you are not biased towards Islam too. Now, because you left Islam and what you saw, and now, but you only want to give portray this type of image, you need to really clarify and maybe come back and take what, like that brother gave the hadith about the Bedouin, and I'll finish here, that was out there. He's the Bedouin, meaning a desert dwelling Arab, right? That lives in the desert, spend their life in the desert, and their lifestyle is in the desert. They don't live in the cities or the villages of the Arab, Arabian Peninsula. They lived on the outskirts in the desert. They have camels and tents and so forth like that. Especially back then, during the time of the Prophet salalahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet, it was in Medina, from what I know at that time, and because that's where the first masjid was built for the Prophet and his companions, his people that followed him then, the early generations of them. And that the masjid, right? Not a temple, like he said, because Terrance Howard also did mention a temple, and still to this day he said a temple. If he was speaking as though he was 13 years old and how he thought about the place, then that's understood because he was 13 years old. But at this point in time now, you should not be calling a masjid a temple. Is it that because you're ignorant, you don't know and I'm not trying to disrespect you when I say ignorant. I mean, you don't have the knowledge. And I'll just say that you lack the knowledge about what the word of the place of worship for the Muslims is really called. Masjid comes from the word sijad, or meaning making prostration, a place of prostration. Okay? And that's worship. That's a position of worship to God for the Muslim. The lowest and most closest and more pleasing position that Allah loves is when you're bowing down on your knees and your head on the ground. Sajud, they call it sajud, right? So that the word masjid derives from that word in Arabiya, in Arabic. So that's the best way to call it, masjid, not temple. Okay, it's not a temple. That's another religion, like the brother was saying in his video that replied to you. Or not replied, but did a a reaction video, right? So, and I went a little long because I'm trying to finish up with Terrance. But Terrance, this is a message to you at the end of this, really. So do your own research, and I think better of you. I think that you are a responsible brother of, when I say brother, African American brother, back, you get into that, you know what I'm saying? Because as far as Islam, you left Islam, so that's understood. May Allah guide you back to it, Allahumma ameen, and that you do your research to really find out exactly what it was. And that hadith of this man, the Bedouin man, to finish up with that, is that he was in the masjid, he was urinating in the masjid, and make the story short, which is not some made up story. It's a true event. It's a true incident that took place, and it's been recorded in the hadiths, authentic hadith. So, which is the words of the Prophet Muhammad that's been recorded, and statements, right? Statements, words, same thing, and his actions as well. So that's what the hadiths are known for. He was urinating in the masjid, right, in the place of worship for the Muslims, the first one, and the Prophet's companions came to him to try to stop him and do whatever they was going to do to stop him, right? Whether even if it was to be harmed, it never happened. Because why? They didn't do anything to harm him or even to stop him. They was going to even try to grab him up and remove him from there and stop him from doing it. The Prophet salalahu alaihi stopped them and told them, no, do not touch him. Let him finish what he was doing. Let him finish. So this is totally contradiction of what the brother did, that you was 13 years old, to that homeless man that you spoke in that clip. That he went to him because the homeless man was urinating in the masjid at that time, and that he castrated him. The Prophet never said, for this is part of Islam. There's no Sharia, there's no law. This is the law and the way of Islam. No, it was a misinformed, misinterpreted man that happens to be Muslim. And that's the same with a lot of these Muslims that, when I'm saying a lot, it's not the majority of the Muslims, but a lot of the ones that do this actions, that most of the wrongdoing Muslims that have done stuff that are so-called terrorist attacks and so forth and things like that, and harm people in the name of, they say, in the name of Islam, they did it on their own emotion, on their own interpretation of what they believe the faith is, not the original authenticated interpretations from the Prophet first, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because that's who the Islam came to first. Prophet Muhammad, the Quran, his word, Allah's word, came to him first, and then went down through the line of the rightly guided predecessors, his companions, the Prophet's companions. They call them Sahaba. And then the Prophet's companions' students, first students, and then the second students of those companions' students that followed them, rightly followed their guidance, didn't deviate until later on after the Prophet passed and so forth. There was other deviant groups that came in, and we're not going to go there. It is what it is today now, especially. But the authentic teachings still today exist. Of course, we got the, other innovated beliefs, understandings of what they claim in Islam. And then you got the terrorists, right? That they go and do their thing according to what their understanding and ideology, methodology, what they say that Islam is, and then it's not. So this is what you as still, I don't understand, like 2026, a non-Muslim still doesn't understand what Islam truly is, even after 9/11. We've way past 9/11, and you still, and you can go on a podium, a social media platform or a talk show and sit in it and be interviewed and then speak without a good amount of knowledge. And when you was 13, I won't have nothing against you because you was younger. But as an adult, you have to be more responsible, bro. And that's all I'm going to say. So I hope that you take advice and you be more responsible and you redact, all right? And take back that without bringing in explanation about which you not having enough knowledge when you was younger, and then now you have a little better knowledge, and that is not what you thought then, is not what Islam is truly. Because you should know now as an adult. And that's all I'm going to say. All right, thank you for listening, everyone. I hope that y'all also, for yourselves as individuals, that you take heed to that advice, because if you're an open person, open-minded person, spiritual's okay and all that, and you respect other people's beliefs, and you're that type of person, and you're not the biased person and the Islamophobic person, which is, I understand their position. But if you're like a Terrance Howard, then be more responsible before you speak out in social media, which goes global all over the world, to bring certain narratives or to help to create certain narratives and propaganda, and are used as tools of propaganda against Islam, which is not cool. It's not cool at all, and doesn't make you a person who is well-rounded, open-minded, and so-called spiritual and respects other people's beliefs, because it shows that you are truly biased to a person's belief that you're speaking about, and you don't bring any clarity and any balance there. So I would just like to say that, and I hope that Terrance Howard wasn't, and he isn't, a biased person really about towards Islam, but that he just left that out, and the guy who did the video or did the interview did not bring enough information in that video or allow him to speak about what he should know about Islam now, because he is older, and that he did a little more, of his own research. And that's the same for you. So thank you for listening. I'm out. Peace and blessings. Keep up the lessons to y'all people who are, not Muslim. And for the Muslims, of course, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace.